So here we go.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into it. Hey, what's up, New Zealand and the world? Lucas Lawman's Kiwi Voice, sitting with another mayoral candidate here, Mr. Carl Bromley. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Lucas. Kia ora. It's good to be on the show.
Awesome, excellent. So we're going to learn a little bit about Carl, about his running for mayor. And you've seen a few of these probably by now on Kiwi Voice. Get amongst the conversation down below with the comments. Keep it respectful as always. Share these links around. But let's get into it, Carl. So tell us a little bit about Carl Bromley, the man himself. As much as you'd like to.
Yep, thanks, Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, I was born and raised in Palmerston North, actually, up in the Manawatu area. And my background basically come from a mum raised 4 kids on the DPB back in those days. So we certainly knew what it was like to struggle and go through some hard times. I remember times of not being able to afford meat, and with no exaggeration and no sob story, but literally my hands sort of bleeding because of lack of minerals, going to bed hungry and stuff. So in a Christchurch context, kind of raised in an area very similar to Wainoni or Aranui, actually.
Yep.
And then later on in life, fast forward in life, here I am now, 53 years old, married 27 years with my lovely wife Mel.
Good effort.
3 adult children, 3 grandchildren. Professionally wise, trained as an NZRN, graduated in 1990, specialised in mental health for almost 30 years.
Great.
Across the board, from psychiatric units to specialist child, adolescent, family mental health service, crises teams, worked in 4 DHBs, finished up as a therapist in private practice not too long ago, so I haven't practiced as a nurse for about 2.5 years.
You would have seen some stuff then?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Seen run the gauntlet with folks, all ages, different backgrounds, and just love the privilege of working with people in their most broken states and journeying with them onto their feet and seeing them healing and going on. But concurrently with them, worked as a Baptist pastor as well, so I was ordained in 1995 as a Baptist minister, and so alongside kind of a dual professional background, working in the ministry as well, the two things both culminating in working and loving people and having the privilege of walking alongside people in their life. And so that's my professional background and a bit about my family to start things off anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, and I like the way that you put that. It's a really positive way to explain some of the things that you've seen and how you put it as a privilege. I like that. So running for mayor, what's motivated you to do so?
Well, thanks. Good question, really.
It
it certainly hasn't been for the likes or gigs. I think, like a lot of us, Lucas, who love our country, have been very concerned about the direction of the country the last 3 years. So I have certainly become very concerned the last 3 years, and a good 2.5, 3 years ago, joined with a number of people here in Christchurch in the square, protesting, speaking, actually doing marches as well.
Okay.
The inaugural group was called the Christchurch Patriots, and that kind of kicked off with the whole COVID pandemic thing coming out, and a lot of us recognising the danger and the havoc that the extreme legislation, COVID legislation, was going to bring about. And of course, from a mental health perspective, I was very concerned with the first lockdown, and begged and pleaded with authorities as a professional around the country to review their support structures of a phone call or computer screen, outlining to them from a professional perspective the reality that a lot of people aren't going to cope. We're going to see a lot of people taking their lives tragically. And basically it all fell on deaf ears, and what did we see? We saw it in the media, sudden death, non-incidental death, which is, people taking their lives. And so it just really went on from there. And so I became very vocal on my, I don't know if you know, I've got a YouTube channel called Is It Just Me NZ, which has about 5,300 subscribers. And it was a blog channel. And so I've got very vocal and active about things happening in New Zealand over that. And that culminated in trying to be a part of a reasonably conservative political party, the New Conservatives, last election, and really got behind them on the conveners team and worked hard for them, only to find that really, in my view, they become very ineffective for a number of reasons I won't get into. So that led on to what can I do? So in reflection on that, then thinking about, what stopped us last election having a successful coalition. So I started talking a year ago about the independent coalition party bus concept, which is on my YouTube channel and playlist there, bringing a model forward that will actually work through eliminating the issue of ego and leadership, and eliminating a plethora of parties. So that started me thinking nationally for the general elections, but I realised the first step was to act locally. So my plan was, plan A, act locally, run for mayor and council, build network and profile, and then after that, launch plan B to really hammer home the independent coalition. So that's kind of a bit of an overview of where I come from, why I got into it. And the basic line is, I love my country, we're losing the heart and soul of our democracy, sovereignty and freedom, and I'm doing everything I can, just as a humble Kiwi man, to try to fight for the heart and soul of our country for all our people.
Oh, well put. Okay, so should you be successful, is it just me, you're not going for councillor in that as well?
I'm going for mayor and councillor,
okay, cool.
So I'm standing in the Innes ward, the old Mayoral ward, so $1 each way.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so should you be successful in either of those positions, you got to the council table, what would be the first thing you'd love to get stuck into?
Well, the number one thing I would implement, and I wouldn't need any permission from the council to do it, is face-to-face weekly community dialogue.
Okay.
So basically meeting in the council chambers or somewhere in Christchurch and giving at least a couple of hours a week for all Cantabrians to come and meet face to face, to share their hearts, share their concerns, to listen, to dialogue, identify issues, come up with solutions together. And that would be the number one thing, because I think people, I think it's evidently factual that officials have stopped really listening to us. They've stopped representing us. So to bring back public representation, first policy, implement face-to-face weekly dialogue with the residents of Christchurch.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, and have you got much of a concern about some of these? They seem to be the topical ones. The stadium, the cycleways. Have you got any thoughts on that, or do you think that's sort of just a matter of course? It's going to sort itself out as you go along.
Yeah, a lot of big concerns about those things, Lucas. And at the end of the day, I think it's come back to the reality again that elected officials who are supposed to listen to the communities aren't. So one of the other big policies that I'll be pushing to implement if successful will be resident referenda. So resident referenda on the big issues. So like the Christchurch Stadium, for example, versus building a car park for hospital staff and those affected by chronic or acute illness, would be a question put to the community. Do you want to build this hospital? Yes or no? Do you want to spend $680 million on a stadium? Yes or no? Do you want to spend $20 million on a 4K cycleway? Yes or no? And that would be a reasonably simple thing to set up in terms of, we know that the council knows how to find you and they want to send you a bill or a fine. So it's just a basic matter of setting up a digital and a paper platform model to easily access residents, ratepayers, whether you're paying rates through your rent or as a homeowner, to give you the power to say yes or no on the big issues.
Yeah, nice. Simple. Okay, cool. So probably two questions to head towards a close on this thing. I would think you're very acutely aware, and we've covered a lot of it on Kiwi Voice, of some of the mainstream media and otherwise coverage, and a lot of the other goings on outside of mainstream media in terms of some of these independent candidates such as yourself. Have you dealt with any of this nonsense, directed at you, and how do you feel about it?
Oh, mate, I could probably write a bit of a trilogy on this one, my friend. So like a lot of independent candidates, obviously I've been targeted big time. I think I'm probably the most hated and most defamed candidate out of all candidates. And that's going back to, right back to the issue of being raided by the police on New Year's Eve.
I remember that story.
Constant defamation and literal defamation in the media. Every time they do an article on me, it's always, anti-government, anti-vax, pro-gun, gun-loving pastor, which a lot of it's nonsense, because I'm not anti-government, I'm anti-corruption in government. I'm not anti-vax, I'm pro-choice. People have the choice to uphold the Bill of Rights in terms of what medical treatment they receive without coercion or blackmail. And I'm actually not a gun lover. I love guns as much as I love my lawnmower. But I support the right for people to own them if they're safe and sane, responsible people. So absolute guano from the government and the media. Never had one interview by the media, Stuff Media, New Zealand Herald, any of those people.
Not contacted you?
Contacted me for comments so they can defame me, but no honest interview to dig down the things that I really want to bring to the table, like my professional background in mental health and as a pastor and things like that. So with that, plus the as we've seen the local government, New Zealand, putting out for the unprecedented packages on identifying who the people the public should vote for or not, all that same garbage, and then on top of that, all the orcs, all the foot soldiers at the bottom of the scum pile, targeting my signs, defaming,
you've been dealing with that as well?
Big time, big time, and the normal harassment of this active, organised leftist bunch of trolls who just publish the most vile things on social media. So I could write a book on on the guano, the depth of the crap that you get.
Because we caught up with, so I've done individual profiles, and this is your part of the series as well, talking to local candidates and local mayoral candidates as well, and we caught up with a group of 4 local candidates yesterday, and we went into a bit of detail around, I don't know if you've seen the video that we posted about someone stealing one of the candidates' signs. We've seen the spray paint of anti-vax, and they actually take them off, spray paint them and put them back up. It's bananas. And the one thing I would comment, just as I thought about it, I mean, I don't know you personally at depth, and we've met each other a few times before at protests, etc. But when I read and stuff, mentioning your recent accident that you've had, wish you well for you. You were struggling a little bit with that as we got down on the couch before, understandably. That they mentioned that, but used it as another way to have a crack at you, which I was like, come on, where's your heart?
Come on.
Yeah.
Lost heart, Lucas, and that's the problem. That you've nailed the issue on the head, that our nation's lost heart, our fishers have lost heart. Like I say, even when I've had a motorcycle accident, rather than just extending condolences and wishes for happy recovery, no, they've got to use that for a bit of defamation as well.
Yeah, craziness. So probably the only other thing then that I'm thinking of, and it is something that is probably front of mind for some people, I would think.
Sure.
With you being a pastor, people get concerned. It's an old thing, mixing religion and politics. Where do you sit on that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the first person who raised the issue of not mixing religion or politics, or another way it's put is church and state.
Yeah, that's
that was Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States. And so his original purpose for saying that people really misunderstand today, and I think it's being construed by the left and weaponized against Christians in particular, is the idea of Thomas Jefferson not to mix church and state or religion and politics was actually to keep the government out of church affairs, to stop government interfering with churches. It was never meant to mean it should keep Christians out of politics. Now, I'm not running on a Christian platform. I'm running on a platform as a concerned Kiwi patriot who happens to be a pastor. So I'm not here to ram any religious perspective down people's throats. I'm here to stand for godly values and not just that, but the values that our nation was built upon, like sovereignty, democracy, freedom, integrity. But unfortunately, sadly, that whole idea of not mixing religion and politics or church and states has done so much damage in the minds of so many people who call themselves Christians or non-Christians who will look at me and say, what are you doing running? You shouldn't be running because you're a pastor.
Right.
Well, why is that? Does that mean people shouldn't be running because they're an atheist? They shouldn't be running because they're an agnostic or a Buddhist or a Muslim? I mean, it's not about running on a religious or faith platform. This is about running for our freedom, sovereignty, and democracy. And I think the reason why we're such a mess now is we've lost sight of electing people who have those fundamental values, regardless if they're Christians or not, of freedom, democracy, sovereignty, integrity, honesty, genuine kindness and love. So if the people who believe in that, you've got it wrong, you've got it twisted around the wrong way, and they're actually doing us a disservice by propagating that misnomer.
Yep, well put. So people, you don't need to be scared of a Christian pastor, essentially, going from here. So no, that's awesome. So have you got a website, email, what sort of stuff? Just throw it out there and we'll put a graphic across the screen as well.
Thanks very much. Yep. I've got to do a shout out. It'll be for my YouTube channel, also on Telegram and BitChute and Odyssey, called Is It Just Me NZ. So you can catch a lot of my stuff, a lot of my thinking on there. Plus just Carl Bromley on Facebook, and there's a mural page, Carl Bromley from here as well, up on Facebook as well.
Yep, nice, excellent. So that's probably all we need. It's been awesome talking to you. Thanks for taking the time to do so.
Thank you.
If this is something that appeals to you people, look out for Carl Bromley's name on those voting papers. You've got till the 8th of October I think potentially if you haven't fully enrolled, you need to do that by the 7th, and you'll still be able to get your special vote in. But that is us for now. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. Stay safe, stay free, team. Get amongst those comments below, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Perfect. That was great.
Thanks, Lucas.
Yeah.
That's awesome.